Alright, we're back again today with another Steven Revisi-Verse. Been a while since I did one of these. Really need to start picking up the pace. And this is a couple that I'm pretty excited about. This is Monster Buddies and an Indirect Kiss. I'm pretty excited about them. I'm always excited to revisit these episodes. But for like a completely different reason than some of these other recent episodes. I don't know what I'm going to talk about with these. Like, I'm hoping. I'm really hoping. I'm crossing my fingers hoping that I'm gonna bump into some unanswered question in here that I can turn into something, you know, like a video concept or something. Because these were pretty lore heavy episodes. These were like at the start of Monster Buddies, we're 22 minutes away from the start of Mirror Gem Ocean Gem, which is like the first big exposition dump episode of the entire show. And it confirmed all these theories that people had. And I feel like Monster Buddies and an Indirect Kiss, with their little tidbits of lore and world building, were sort of the primer for that. They were getting us ready for that. And so there's a lot of lore stuff in here. But unfortunately, basically literally everything that we theorized about based on these two episodes was at some point or another confirmed, that I can recall anyway. Like, we still have some questions about Rose's fountain, but we can surmise enough about how the fountain works that I can't really think of anything that would still need theorized about it. I'm hoping I'm wrong. Either way, revisiting these episodes is going to be fun. Like, that's a thing. That's a thing that I'm going to enjoy. I just don't know how much actual critical analysis you're going to get out of me about them, honestly. Starting off with the review for Monster Buddies, we're going to go at 1.25 times speed again, because I don't like listening to myself talk. We're going to go at 1.25 times speed for the episode too, but that's just because it makes it harder for Content ID to spot when I put clips in the video.
Monster Buddies, the 23rd episode of Steven Universe, and by far one of the most important episodes of the entire series. I mentioned back in my review of Steven the Sword Fighter that the moment that Pearl poofed was the moment that I formed my first theory regarding Steven Universe. Now, I never posted that theory because it was confirmed almost as soon as I made it, since I was watching these episodes way after the fact of their airing. But to go over what that theory was, when I saw Pearl poof in a similar manner to the what I at the time was calling gem monsters, it made me wonder if perhaps these gem monsters were biologically effectively identical to gems.
Biologically may not be the correct word, but yeah, this is the episode that does that. When we see, what did they call it? Centipedal. when we saw Centipedal start to reform and start to take on a humanoid form, that was, I thought, before I went back and watched the rest of the episodes between this and when I had actually started the show later on, I thought that was going to be the best we got for confirmation. I think that's the order of events anyway. For confirmation that the gems and the gem creatures were the same. And then like 2 episodes later, or 3 episodes later, I guess technically, because it was an ocean gem, not mirror gem, they just flat out tell us that. But like this episode still stays relevant though, because like the concepts and characters in this one, we revisit them not a lot, but like in really poignant ways as the series goes on.
And Garnet, seeing no other option to protect Steven, bubbles him and sends him back to the temple.
Which I find interesting. I still find that interesting. As far as we know, gems don't have the ability to teleport themselves without the use of teleporters, like the pads. But clearly they do. Like, Steven's not as small as a gemstone, right? And gems can shrink themselves anyway. So if a gem really ever needed to get somewhere, even if it was just to a place with a warp pad, couldn't they just bubble themselves and then send themselves home, wherever they consider that to be, and then go from there to a warp pad and get where they need to go? And yet this is the only time we ever saw that. Just pointing it out, because I always thought that was kind of weird.
I want you guys to take a look at this moment here really quick, because it seems a little odd to me. Garnet is one of the fastest and strongest gems with some of the most varied attack possibilities of all of the crystal gems. And yet she bears down on this thing without attacking it, long enough for Steven to have a brief dialogue with Pearl, and then step in front of Garnet and plead for the safety of the creature.
I always like to look at moments like that in the show and think that Garnet foresaw that Steven was going to do something particularly impressively Steven-y, and gave him the chance to do it, like allowed him to do it. And I headcanon a lot of the time that she does, because she knows that things are going to work out well enough, you know, one way or another. Like, I'm pretty sure she could handle this thing in this state if things don't go well. But if they go well, then something good might happen, you know? But it was probably just mediocre writing for the scene, honestly. I love the crew, don't get me wrong. But, like, look at... I make the joke that singing gives you a bonus to your attack rolls in Steven Universe. Because look at when Spinel first showed up in the movie and completely stomped the crystal gems, and the only excuse is, oh, we're out of practice. Even though they've only been less active for a couple years, and they're like these timeless beings who should not fall out of practice that quickly. It was just for the convenience of the plot, and that's probably what this was too. But I like to headcanon otherwise, and you guys are welcome to do so with me, because it's pretty freaking cool.
And I'm actually really excited about this. He's attacked by a bird, so our attacked by a bird counter gets...
I forgot about the attacked by a bird counter.
Chips that Steven was feeding to the
That didn't last very long.
And he accidentally bites his finger, and the centipede actually stands up for him, and they have a little bit of Pokemon battle, because this episode is obviously a parody of Pokemon. And he shows how he's able to get it to now shoot acid on people. Acid that can burn through practically anything.
Oh, that's hilarious.
The idea of using the acid to tunnel through the ice cave without causing a miniature star that you shoot at things is in this kind of pit of ice and water that is the only thing...
Maybe that's a potential theory subject. What the absolute heck is the shooting star? I don't have any ideas, though. That's the problem. Like, what is that thing? Alright, yeah. Fun Pokemon parody, good lore. Maybe Garnet was garneting throughout it. There's nothing really much more to go over in the review, so let's bring up the episode. Where did I have it? There it is. Alright. Pretty crazy fight if it's tearing down a freaking mountain. Also, hold on a second. What is that? What is that door back there? Is this another gem temple? Like, and I don't mean like one of the random gem installations we see all over the place, but like another, like, the temple built into a mountain? I never caught that before. Because later in this episode, they have to use the Centipedal's acid to tunnel their way in here? But, like, that's where the shooting star is, right? Like, obviously that's where the shooting star is. I understand that. Don't get me wrong. But why does it look like that? Makes me wonder if the shooting star belonged to a different faction that set up shop similar to the way that the crystal gems do, is my point. And you would imagine there would be some other way inside if it was like a living quarters, right? I don't know, but then there is only the one way into the temple too. So assuming they had to get back to this spot using the acid and then get through the door, I guess that makes sense. Still, I never really thought about it that way. It's probably just another gem installation, and they're calling on similar aesthetics. But it looks like the temple door. And I think that's cool.
How are you gonna... You can own it? Darn it, no!
Why did they bring Steven on this mission anyway? Like, I know he was starting to go on missions at this point.
I'm back inside the temple.
But,
Look at you now. stuck in a bubble.
That one doesn't seem like the kind that they would have brought him on at this point in the series, which might support my idea that Garnet had some special plan about this one, right? I love that the gem is even Pokeball shaped. They had to have planned this episode out ahead of time so they could design its gemstone to look like that, right? So much emotion in just that one tiny interaction. I do still really like that.
Doesn't relaxing feel nice? You wanna...
Steven's such a calming presence.
Yeah, we can... Get away from that thing! Whoa,
Oh,
dude.
Pearl.
Wait, if that thing hurt you, so help me
Yeah,
out.
see, she was like throwing herself at ice earlier.
Don't hurt it.
Because she just
I accidentally let it out of its bubble, but it
looms
didn't
over
hurt.
this thing
It's
long
not
enough
like
to
the
keep
other
it and
monsters,
Pearl
it's
from
just scared
fighting.
and confused.
I can't say no to that face.
Excuse me?
Garnet's the
You can't
best.
be serious.
Love
I think you
Garnet.
should try and tame it, Steven.
Oh, you just got garneted.
Love that Lion was
Okay,
there.
friend, it's just us now.
Proves that he actually does give a shit about Steven.
Just like you like chips? You want a chips? Yeah.
I feel like they
Yeah?
were going for
Oh,
a
look at this chip. Yum,
combination
yum,
realistic Pokemon
yum.
training
Tasty,
vibe
tasty.
and
Try it.
like, you know, how every kid
Smells good, right?
sees a wild animal in their backyard and
With an eyeball in your
imagines
mouth, but I'm glad you
taming
like
it, you know?
Hmm?
And I think it manages to capture that pretty well. Thing is, though, this is the episode that makes it clear that these aren't wild animals, so it's very interesting. It's super effective. The bird must be
We
a
have to go back for the shooting star.
grass or fairy type, I guess. Or a house.
Steven, you can't just... Now situation.
Kind of makes me wish they had run with... Because clearly at some point there was supposed to be, like, actual animal creatures, because there's, like, the crystal shrimp and
I
stuff,
just
right?
don't know if this will work.
I kind of wish they'd run with that, and Steven could have had a whole menagerie of, like, gem-powered animals. You know? I mean, Lion worked out well enough. It's horrifying. And the way out was right behind him. Garnet, you can shrink.
Cool. There it is, the shooting star.
Okay,
Ancient elemental. So
but then they don't come in through the door. So it's not like they used the acid to burn their way. So what the hell is that door? Oh, I don't have nearly enough information to do a video on this, but I want it so bad. Oh, this is so intriguing. This had to have been another temple. Like another honest-to-goodness, like habitable temple that somebody else had carved into this mountain. Maybe even like an old crystal gem temple, because maybe they're coming here to retrieve this thing that they used to have. You know, what does she say about it here?
hot and so volatile, it can only be contained in ice. Their skin cannot endure its intensity.
What do you do with a shooting star?
Elemental's
You shoot it.
too hot.
Burn it. You'll need to use your gauntlet
Yeah,
so as not to hurt
because
your
doesn't
hands.
this look like the burning room a little bit too?
No, not now!
That's my new theory. This is an old crystal gem temple. Should have put it back in its Pokeball, Steven. No, but seriously though, before bringing it here, maybe they should have trained it a little bit more to like stay in the burning room when it's not on missions. And then they could have like bubbled it without poofing it and sent it back home. I'm saying it because I'm equating with Pokemon. Her. She's a her.
You're not a monster anymore! You're more than that! We have so many memories now! Remember the chip times?
The chip times, those like 3 of them.
And how we became best friends? You have to remember! This all happened today!
His jacket is bleeding, oh no! At least she doesn't get shattered there, that would suck.
No! You saved me.
See, some Pokemon
You did a
just
good job
aren't
training the centipede.
good walking
Your mother would be
Pokemon,
so
Steven.
proud.
She would?
The truth is, Rose Quartz had tried to use her powers to save these monsters
That's
too.
another
She
cool
was never
lore
able to
reveal
heal
from this
them.
one.
Steven, you can bubble gems!
Of course he can. He's a gem pearl. Come
Wait for
on.
me, Centipedal. I promise I'll heal you up someday.
And technically he does. It's just, not really him who does it exclusively, which I still am kind of bummed out about that. Yeah, I want to know what the hell that door was. That's my only takeaway from that one. Good episode. Fun. Lore stuff. Steven's uncovering more power. He's going to do that in the next one, too. I want to know what that sneaky door was. That's going to bring us to an indirect kiss, which maybe there'll be something I'll catch in this one, too. I've watched these like 6 million times, though. I don't know how I'm still catching stuff. It's probably the ADHD keeping me from focusing as well as I should. Anyway, this one's good, though. Even if I don't catch anything, this is good. Lore stuff, Rose stuff, Steven's power stuff, Connie. So let's blast through this review. I don't think I'm going to have much to say about the review, though. I might even just cut it out completely. Who freaking knows?
And an episode that really made me glad that I'm going back and doing these reviews, because I caught a thing that I missed going through this episode.
What was it?
We will get to that in a moment. As per usual, there will be spoilers in this review, so keep that in mind.
I'm wearing my Kingdom Hearts Days shirt.
This episode begins
which I still have.
Connie having a picnic date on top of the hill, and tells him about one of his mother's powers that
What's
you brought
wrong
up
with
before.
my hair in
Says
this
that
video?
when she genuinely loved people around her and genuinely felt bad for
Probably the
them
same
being
thing that's wrong with it
she
today,
could produce
honestly.
healing tears that originated in her gemstone. Or there is a point of no return, a point where damage to a gemstone becomes so great that it can't be undone. That before the gemstone actually shatters, I would imagine.
And like I don't necessarily mind that they showed that being undone later on, because it required not just putting the entire gem back together, but also Yellow Diamond using a new power on the resulting reformed gem to help them stabilize their body. But it does feel like kind of a cop-out that the closest thing to death for these characters just stops being an issue by the end of the show. Like, just so long as the nigh invincible uber military ruler chick exists, gems can't die. And even if she doesn't, they can still exist in a form kind of like what Amethyst was in this episode for a while. And as long as their gem is put back together properly, like, they're fine. And like, we don't know, for example, if one of those restored gemstones that Yellow was putting back together, if it had been put in Rose's fountain or something, if it wouldn't have just been restored anyway. I don't know, it does. I understand why some people in the fandom consider it a cop-out retcon. Even though I do think it's cool. I think it's cool that Yellow can literally atone for some of the bad stuff she did. Even some of the worst of it. I do like when characters get redemptions.
It's not described as Rose's fountain, it's described as Rose's healing spring. The fountain is just there to direct the water from some spring that Rose created in the earth. No idea what that means yet. I'm going to really think about it, see if it connects to anything else. Maybe do a video on it.
Pretty sure I did, too. I'll have to revisit that. Make sure I did, and if I didn't, do it. Is it one of the ones I talked about in this series? It might be one of the ones I talked about in this series. I need to revisit Revisi-Verse now. It's sad that my memory is that bad.
And all throughout this episode, you get little glimpses of the framing device, Steven and Connie hanging out. In fact, one of the ways that Connie was able to get Steven to continue the story was to let him wear his glasses in exchange for drinking the rest of his juice box. It was a very cute kiddish thing, I just wanted to point out.
And the fact that it uses the specific framing device that it does helped facilitate the hinky out-of-orderness of this review. I'm probably going to skip a lot of that, honestly. Because I'm going to talk about a lot of that same stuff, I'm sure, when we watch the episode. The framing device in this was great, don't get me wrong. Playing around with perspective in this show is something that they needed to do more often. Imagine that. And this is one of the few ways that they did it, having characters tell stories to other characters. And I like when they do it, and I like Connie and Steven's interactions throughout. So I do like it. But yeah, a lot happened in this one.
One of Steven's powers, his gem powers, being translated entirely through one of his biological processes. And it makes me wonder, does he have any other powers that are translated solely through his biological processes?
They seem to really want to go that route early on, showing him doing biological human versions of gem things. Then they just kind of abandon it later, and I understand the reasoning why, and I understand the, like, techno-babbly pseudoscience behind how he's able to, but I kind of wish they'd stuck with the original intent. It was, I think, more interesting, but it wouldn't have really worked to facilitate things like fusing, especially with, like, other fleshy humans, you know? Would have led to some weird connotations.
Amethyst's body changing, her losing control of her voice, even one scene where her body literally reverses itself and she ends up walking in a direction other than the one she intended. All of those could be considered earlier versions of some of the behaviors of the corrupted gems.
And I did a Halloween video about that held up pretty well. We watched it recently. But yeah, that's all I really want to talk about there, though. There it is.
Steven, hurry up! Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Are you sure you're okay?
Poor guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so, is
See,
this
that's off-model animation
It's a
with
long
a purpose.
Is it a magic story? Well, what happened?
I love
Tell
these
me, please.
interactions.
Okay.
Connie's
But it's
delightful
not a happy
through the
story.
whole show, but
Amethyst
back
was
when
walking
she was
around by
still
the Amethyst, be careful!
super intrigued by the
Steven,
magic
why are you
stuff
What?
is really when she was her most precious.
Yes!
Aw, Steven, I didn't mean to make you... Steven, I'm gonna fall.
She's so mean. I love it. She's hilarious.
Steven, please. I'm a gem warrior. I'm not gonna fall. Ugh, this is so embarrassing. I'm okay.
You can turn into a bird, Amethyst. You do often.
You sure you're okay?
Yes,
Is
and I'm
good
fine,
comedy
except
leading
for
up to
this.
the more serious stuff later on.
Wait, show me your gem. Fresh.
I like the little blush there. Because, like, oh, yanking somebody's clothes away to look at their gem. Maybe that's a gem taboo, but also the placement of her gemstone. A little bit of a cheeky joke for some of the older viewers. I think it's pretty cute.
Ew. Plus, now I have this cool googly eye. How did this happen?
It's not funny, Steven. I know I laughed,
Of
but
course.
you
How
should
could I
know
have been
better.
so blind? Come on, tell me the rest.
I don't wanna.
Steven? Steven? Steven?
Okay. But only if you let me
I
try
love
it
how
out.
she runs the whole
Only if you give me
gamut
the rest
there.
of your juice.
This is
Okay,
just,
but
it's
mostly
such a
whitewash.
cute
Good enough.
interaction.
How do I look?
I have no idea.
Your mother had healing tears that flowed from her gem. She felt real love for those around her.
Flowed from her
she
gem.
felt real sorrow when they were hurt.
I think I did a
You
theory
have the
about
most
that,
gem
too.
now. I know that.
Yeah, I
happens to me
did.
Too.
Amethyst, show me your gem.
Yeah, all right.
The power to heal.
Just a day you were crying about snakes.
They don't have any arms.
We have no
Don't.
choice.
It's so
We need to
sad.
hammer this to-
In the center of the garden,
And that's like
roses
reverse
fountain
speak. You can reverse
overflowing
that
with your
and it
mother's
says stuff.
healing lacrimal essence.
I don't see it.
What?
That's, Pearl, this is a kid's show. You shouldn't get that excited thinking about Rose's secretions. It's another one of those cheeky jokes there. Good on you, Crooniverse. I caught it.
It's going to be okay, Garnet.
Sure.
Healing tears.
The interactions in this one are really top notch.
Pain can make one cry.
Pain
Where
can
is
make one
pain?
cry, and money can buy many peanuts. I shouldn't be laughing, but like
Right in the gem.
I know she's gonna be fine, and I know she wasn't in danger of like being corrupted by this either.
Keep calm.
Probably.
What we need
I knew
Okay.
that. This way.
How did she know that wouldn't break the rock though? Because usually when she punches rocks, they break. They don't just move. I would have had her do like a shove if it were me, but you know, it wasn't.
into Rose's most precious sanctuary. But if you're okay with it, I'm fine too.
Okay, her most precious sanctuary. This place has to be more important than we were told. There has to be more going on here. And we never find out about it, and I don't know that there's enough information elsewhere for us to speculate, but I'm gonna look into that. Most precious sanctuary. What a weird choice of words. Music here is fantastic too.
The fountain isn't running.
What?
Creepy, but with the same kind of sparkly jingle.
Mom?
That's all throughout the show.
Emotional. I think it's happening. I'm really feeling it.
I've never caught that before, but when they all turn to look at him, Amethyst's foot turns like her head would have. That's cute.
Headache!
So give back my glasses and finish the story.
Come on!
You touched the lens. That's so rude.
It's fine.
It's just, I mean, I don't know how to feel about you, but everybody else does. I wish I could have
They
met
don't
you,
though, not
and
really.
this place could make me sad.
Not as
I
much
could
as he
cry
thinks they
healing
do.
tears, like you.
Oh.
Are
Oh,
you okay?
Connie's the best character. And I don't necessarily just mean in this show either. How menacing.
Oh, come on!
The eye is actually open. Why? It's just stone. It's pretty though. I wish we had come back here more often. But I think I've made that clear already.
You'll never have any real magic powers, and we don't want anything more to do with you. She didn't really say that.
No.
See what I mean though about playing with perspective? Couldn't the show have done that more often? Just little things like that. Or at least in ways that it confirmed that it did, because stuff about the war was probably like unreliable narrator type stuff, and we'll never frickin' know. Just that is my biggest pet peeve about this show, and always will be, that they are way too strict with how they use perspective. And it just gets, it feels like it gets worse as the show goes on. That's not what I'm talking about today. Let's keep watching this cute interaction.
That's what it felt like.
Is that why you've been so down? Oh,
What if I never get those powers?
then you'll be like me. That's not so bad.
But if I don't have powers, then I can't hang out with Amethyst, or Garnet, or Pearl, and I can't go on missions.
You don't need any powers to be here with me.
Wait, oh, this is interesting, actually. I don't necessarily like everything about how they handled Steven's arc in Future, but already, maybe it was more planned out than I thought, because already we're getting him panicking because he can't help people, and looking to Connie to help him through it. All of which are things that were dialed up to 11 in Future. Might be worth an analysis at some point. I can't talk today. I can't say 3-syllable words today. Yeah.
Ow.
What's wrong?
I think there's something wrong with my glasses.
Yeah, Steven was touching him with his meaty fingers.
I can see.
What?
I can see without my glasses.
Did I
If I can
heal your
see,
eyes?
I
But
can
how?
fight. I referenced that in
box.
a game
I don't have healing
video
tears.
recently
I
too.
have healing
I don't know what
spit.
that's
What am I
from.
going to tell my parents? What am I going to tell my optometrist?
I don't even know.
Such a cool badass character. I love Connie so much. Yeah, so alright, note to self, look into Rose's fountain again. Definitely. Yeah. I mean, those are good episodes. Don't get me wrong, I don't have anything else to say about them, really. They're good episodes. They have great interactions in them. Steven's interaction with Centipedal is still one of the most memorable parts of the entire show. His interactions with Amethyst in this episode are great. His interactions with Connie in this episode are just precious. Connie proves to be best character multiple times throughout this one. Like, Steven's the character who's always helping people through their emotional stuff, and yet here she is showing how capable of that she is herself and why the two of them make such a good match. I just really like it. This era of the show was, like, the show has not been bad up to this point, I want to be clear, and I don't think it ever gets, like, truly bad ever. There are definitely areas where it slows down, where I feel like maybe it didn't need to, you know? But this era of the show, kind of from right here up until, like, Return Jailbreak, that kind of time frame, is the best of the show. It's when the intrigue was strongest, to the point that even just remembering how it felt to be immersed in that intrigue is enough to make revisiting these episodes a lot of fun. And the character interactions, they were just... like, none of these characters were really comfortable enough with each other yet that their interactions felt entirely routine. And the show went on long enough that that starts to be how they feel later, you know? It's just how shows are. They go on for a long enough period of time. Everything felt new enough at this point, though, that their interactions just... I don't know, they felt fun and fresh. These are some of the best of the show. I've analyzed the crap out of them already. Revisiting them was still a lot of fun, though. And if there's anything you saw in these episodes that I didn't catch, that you'd like to ask me about, or you'd like me to talk about, or whatever, as per usual, let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. Also, super fun. Maybe coming out tomorrow. I hope so. I'm going to try to get it out by tomorrow. Apparently, I thought I remembered talking about it at one point. But apparently, which one was it? Onion Friend? Onion Friend? Yeah. Apparently, either I never reviewed Onion Friend, or I somehow lost the review of it. I was going through, you'll see if you go look on my channel, and then, you know, watch some of my videos while you're there to get the view count up. I've redone all the thumbnails for a lot of my past stuff, not all of it. A lot of the relevant stuff, all of the relevant stuff, basically. But especially Steven Universe. All of my Steven Universe stuff, save for the comic stuff, because I really liked how those thumbnails looked already, have been redone. And in the process of redoing all of them, I noticed that that I didn't have a review of Onion Friend up, so I'm gonna review Onion Friend. It's gonna be fun. Reviewing an episode of Steven Universe is gonna be fun, even if it's like a really old episode at this point. All of them are really old episodes at this point, though. But yeah, so look forward to that. That's gonna be fun. But yeah, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.